So in my experience, an effective chair is key to an effective board. So that means planning for chair succession is really important. Failing to do that can leave the board and indeed the organisation in a pretty rudderless position. It also means that then the board becomes very internally focused on trying to manage for that chair succession, and meanwhile other key strategic issues are lower down on the board's agenda. So how do you go about planning for chair succession? I think the key thing is always to think about who's on your board and to try to ensure that there's at least a couple of directors who might be potential chair successors. Now sometimes that's done through a deputy chair role. Where you do have a deputy chair though, I think it's important to be clear what the nature of that role is and what the expectations are, particularly in terms of chair succession. I worked with a board a couple of years ago where the chair had to retire on short notice. Everyone assumed the deputy chair would step into the chair's role, except for the deputy chair who said they didn't see that as part of their role and they didn't have the time to do it. So what should you do where you have got a situation where you've got a chair leaving and you need to decide on the next chair for the board? And typically Constitution will provide that that's a matter for the board to determine. I think in that case you need to run a clear process and an objective process in some respects. And by that I mean starting with the position description. So setting out clearly the expectations of the chair, what good looks like, what sort of background the person needs, what sort of personal attributes they need. Using that then, the chair or indeed an independent third person should speak to each director on the board and ask them whether they think they're ready, willing and able and suitable according to the position description to fulfil the role. You need to of course ask each of the directors who else on the board they would support for the chair role. Once all those interviews are completed, you should have a picture of who is ready, willing, able and has the support of their peers to go into the chair role. And then that's a question of managing those conversations by the outgoing chair or the independent party facilitating the process. If you don't have out of that process someone who can step into the role, what you need to do then is go into an external recruitment process. And in some cases, that is the only option. Of course, it's not ideal where you have someone who comes in cold to the board. They don't know the organisation, they don't know the people. However, with careful induction and management, that can also work. So maybe now's a good time to look at not only your board succession plan, but also more specifically your chair and indeed deputy chair succession plan.